Hello. Now, if I could do all three of them all at once, I'd be amazed by myself. This is great. I could like switch glasses. Hey, I will sit there. I can read your fake bulk. Fake bulk. A surrogate bulk. Yeah. I'll throw in the hard questions too. That's fair.
Yeah, I love all the falls.
All the falls. There's somebody in the other in the morning session who asked a really good question that was basically Freudian. He asked Austin, do you believe that when Jason had really some pent-up animosity, the victim was based upon hatred with his mother? So, I don't want to start too early, so. But what the heck is with the monkey suit? Oh, of course, the evil bunny. What was I thinking?
Each hour you hear, man.
I know, it's strange. Oh my God. Well, I gotta tell you, those suits are really funny because, you know, they're talking about how difficult they were, and you cannot emphasize enough how bad those things were. And because they're so big and fat and bulky. So, what they would do is they would stand them up. There was little stands, little wooden stands, you know, trying to stand up. But they're too heavy. These things do weigh about, I don't know, 70 pounds or something like that. And they're usually top heavy, okay? Because the way they work is, many of them at least, despite what you might think, it was one giant suit. So if it was actually hanging, you couldn't tell if somebody was in it or not. Even like that freaking guy that was playing, and then he'd be like, hey, I'm over right here. And sometimes I'm like, man, you're doing a great job. That was great. How you doing? Yeah, I'll be right there. Gotta go. And of course, you know, they could have passed out there anyway. So but the thing was, when the person would take it off, it was all one suit. You would have to climb into it, and then it would zip up, and the head was still attached to the damn thing often. Okay? So when they weren't wearing it completely, they would, you know, take off the shirt part of it and let the whole front of the body flop. So you can see the front of it also like this. And somebody standing right behind us. I'll tell you what it looked like. Really freaky. Or they just prop the thing up and it looks like somebody died over the side. Or the panel has officially started with some open skull cracks.
How about we hear some Shakespeare?
You want to hear some Shakespeare? What do you want?
Hamlet.
Hamlet?
Hamlet. That's a chimpanzee.
There's a story about that, actually. I used to have this statue that was a monkey sitting on a stack of books holding the skull, you know, the last and I used to think that was really cool. Oh, really cool. And then one day, it just so happened, as you know, Paul and I did some Shakespeare. We actually flip-flop. We both directed a production of Hamlet at different times. And the first one I directed, and Paulie played Claudius, and then I played Laertes because we lost our Laertes. And then the second time Paulie directed, and I choreographed the fights. And Lord Zed, Ed, was in it. I mean, it was the ending. The king is to blame. I had, it was 50 guys all jumped on each other and beat the stuff, flips. It was a Hamlet unlike you'd ever seen. But it just so happened that while we were doing that second production of Hamlet, we got turned into monkeys. So here Paulie and I are having fist beats now, and yet on the screen we're, you know. So I look at that statue of the monkey holding that skull, I'm like, that's not funny anymore. But yeah, Catherine Sutherland, Cat, the second thing ran, she played Ophelia. She played my sister. She was awesome. She was a wonderful actress. I guess I'll start with the panel. First of all, obviously, Paul Schreier is not here yet. He's not going to be able to make it for this panel. He was supposed to fly in from New York. He's our business. He was supposed to fly in this morning, and now he's flying in this evening. AM, not PM, so I apologize. He'll be around this weekend, but I'll try to fill in the blanks for him as much as possible. I guess I'll start with the overall Vulcan Skull story and how that developed, how the characters came to be, and then they start taking questions and pop shots at each other, throwing chairs. I would love it. My session is the one that chairs like, everything is stolen, the carpeting is ripped up. I love that. Look like our hotel rooms. Okay, so let's start. Oh man. Yeah, we'll get to that later. So it started off when they were doing the pilot. They had hired Paul Schreier as his actual character was like bully number 2.
3.
He was bully number 3, was it? He wasn't even the main bully. He wasn't even the second main bully, I guess. He had one line, which was, "Hey man!" That in the final analysis, I don't think he even delivered. I think they recorded it over. I think Tony Oliver did the voice. Hey man! So what happened was, this is a lot of this is Tony Oliver's doing. As you may not have known, when Tony Oliver was pitching the show, he was pitching it as a kids' action sci-fi comedy. Comedy being the key word. And as Tony was saying to me yesterday, comedy and sci-fi, really hard genres to get across. So let's get some really hard genres and put them together. You know, sweet. But they didn't know how they were going to affect the comedy. And Vulcan Skull, originally, just the bullies in the pilot, the lost episode that you saw, were very violent, angry characters. And they wanted to show that the Power Rangers could kick butt at school as well as, you know, in their intergalactic universe, okay? Bobby was playing the main bully, okay? Bully number 1, yes. Very good mathematics. So Bobby was a very menacing looking dude. I mean, he's you know, and he kind of had this kind of creepy, you know, and he had the you know, at some point one of the Rangers dropped a goop on him and he says, you know, you messed up big time, you know. It's like Robert De Niro in Taxi Driver, you know. And it was going to scare the crap out of the kids. And it wasn't really that funny, you know. They all come up, hey man, big fight ensues, blah, blah, blah. Well, while they're shooting this, Paul strikes up a conversation with Tony Oliver, okay, who you've all met several times. And Tony and Paulie had similar backgrounds. They had both done theater, a lot of theater. The more they talked, the more Tony trusted Paulie, and decided that if one of these guys was going to be the lead, it wasn't going to be Bobby, it was going to be Paulie, simply because they communicated well, Paulie had a good sense of humor, and he is physically menacing. If you see Paul Schreier, have you seen the Capitol Records building? That was Paulie. That's not a metaphor. Paulie was actually the Capitol Records building for several years. He's a big dude, man. You know? He walks through the door and everybody looks, you know? It's great because when the show is at its height and we would get mobbed anywhere we go, I take Paulie, I wouldn't be noticed. Because Paulie walks in, they see Paulie, and I can just say, oh yeah, you're not Capitol Ranger! So, and he's an extremely agile guy. I mean, he's extremely agile. You know, he's like John Belushi, you know, meets Steve Cardenas, who can do the kicks right up. Paulie could do those kicks, okay? And he could take abuse. And he knew old-fashioned slapstick comedy. He and Tony hit it off, okay? So, meantime, I just graduated from high school, okay? Why don't we say this, first of all? With Paulie now as newly dubbed Bulk, and Skull as the Toady, you had the really scary guy, rather than the menacing guy, being the Toady. It wasn't quite working. They sold the show to Fox. Fox picked it up, and as they were watching it, it wasn't quite that funny. Bobby, because he wasn't a comedian. So about 2 days before they were getting ready to shoot, they said, we need to get a sidekick, a Toady. We don't need Robert De Niro over there, you know.